Hey everybody, it's Angie and welcome to Hot and Flashy. In today's video, I've got my year-end roundup of the best makeup of 2019. So I made almost 100 videos in 2019 and we are going to pull from the best of the makeup that I tried in a year and squeeze it all into one little year-end video. So we better get started, otherwise it's going to be a really long one. All right, let's start in foundation, which is the thing that you guys like to talk about most. My Holy Grail foundation changed over the year. It has for years been the Chanel Perfection Lumiere Velvet, and halfway through the year Chanel decided to reformulate it, repackage it, and re-release it under a different name. That sent those of us who love the original Chanel Perfection Lumiere Velvet into a little bit of a panic for about a month there, but fortunately when the new one came out, the replacement was virtually the same as the old one. The only thing that was really different about it for me were the shades, but otherwise the performance, the look, the feel, everything else was exactly the same. So crisis averted on that one. This one is still one of the Holy Grails. Moving up into Holy Grail status for an everyday makeup is the Stila Hide and Chic, and this is a fantastic foundation. It's a lot like the Chanel in that it's really lightweight and runny and fluid, but it doesn't contain some of the problematic ingredients in here that always bothered people, because this does have SD alcohol fairly high on the ingredient list, which can be a little drying to people with dry skin. Mostly it is formulated for people with more combo to oily skin, which is what I have. So a lot of my drier skinned audience could never use this. Plus it also has fragrance, and this contains no SD alcohol and no fragrance, and it's a cruelty-free brand, so it checks a lot of the boxes for a lot of people who just could never use or try this. So this is just such a beautiful foundation. What I love most about it is how natural it looks on the skin. It looked great in the outdoor bright sunshine. The only thing that it failed on was that it did give flashback in a darkened room setting, so that's why this is not my go-to for like a special occasion. This is still my Holy Grail for special occasions and for when I want my makeup to be absolutely bulletproof and perfect for the entire evening. This one doesn't give flashback, and I do still absolutely love it. There was a new foundation that snuck into my top 5 this year. That is the CYO Life Proof Foundation, but just as soon as it snuck in there, it was discontinued. Fortunately, CYO is a Boots company, and they re-released the foundation just under another brand, so it became Soap and Glory Kick-Ass Foundation. It is the exact same formula, so it's really, really good, stays in place well, really a great foundation, except they released it in the exact same colors, so I could never find an exact match in this one, and I can't find an exact match in this one. And one thing that people do complain about is that this was like $7 and this is up to $16 or $17, so they doubled the price on it, but it's still fairly inexpensive as far as a great foundation goes. And I believe this one is also alcohol-free, fragrance-free, and possibly cruelty-free. I'm always looking for a nice tinted moisturizer or a BB cream that you can just throw on for like an everyday running your errands kind of thing. The Sephora Matte Perfection Tinted Moisturizer. I just did a full foundation Friday on this last week, and this is really great. I love it. And for those of you who are thinking, oh no, it's matte, it doesn't really have a matte finish. It's more of like a satin matte than a full matte, but it does greatly depend on what you put on under it. So when I have on more of a luminous sunscreen under it, this does have a luminous finish, and I do need to powder it. But when I have more of a matte sunscreen under it, then I don't need any powder, and it is more of a matte finish. It's alcohol-free, it's fragrance-free, and it's also cruelty-free. This does have a smell to it though, even though it is fragrance-free. It has a really beautiful skin-like look. And of course, all the foundations that I've talked about when I tested them, they didn't settle into wrinkles, they didn't settle into pores. All right, let's move on to concealers. I tried a ton of under-eye concealers, and a ton of them were fails. But there was one that I really, really liked a lot, and that was the Jeffree Star Concealer. The first time that I used it, I really loved it. It didn't seem to like crease or make my under-eye wrinkles look any bigger, but that is because I used it with a Jeffree Star powder. And I gotta say, when I used it with my other under eye setting powders, I didn't like it as much. It creased right away. So if you're going to try this, I would probably pick this up to wear with it. This is a great powder. This is in the best of video in the powder section, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But of course, my tried and true concealer that I love is the Lancome Mackie Complete. I started using this last winter when my other favorite concealer, the Lancome Effacerne, was seeming a little bit dry under my eyes, and so I went to this more hydrating formula. I find that it doesn't settle in my wrinkles and it lasts all day, and it just looks really great, and it gives me kind of medium skin-like looking coverage that doesn't look like cakey makeup under my eyes, because I think that just makes me look older, and this fits the bill perfectly, especially when I put it with the It Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores HD setting powder. So the drugstore tried and true is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Concealer. These two have been faves for a long time, so you can't go wrong with either of those two. All right, let's move on to primer. I tried a lot of primers this year. I was mainly looking for pore filling primers or primers that would help to make my makeup last longer, and I rarely find both things in one primer, but I feel like I finally did find one that kind of did both of those things fairly well, and that is the It Cosmetics Your Skin But Better Oil-Free Makeup Gripping Base. No matter what foundation I put it on under, it makes the foundation look so much better, and it makes my skin look so much better. It also smooths out my enlarged pores a little bit. I mean, it's not going to make them disappear. I haven't found a primer yet that does that, but this is the closest. So that is my #1 primer for the year. For a drugstore primer, I was really into the e.l.f. Prep and Blur Stick for about half the year, and I probably used this most before I discovered this guy. It's a solid, like skin colored primer, and you just rub it on where your pores are enlarged or you have texture. And I found that this really did help to fill in my pores and make my texture look a little bit better for most of the day. All right, let's move on to loose setting powders. My favorite is still It Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores HD powder. This has been my favorite loose setting powder for a couple of years now. The only thing that I don't like about this is that it does give flashback under the eyes if you are being photographed in a dark room with a bright flash. So this I don't really wear for a special occasion or when I'm testing foundation on the day that I take the flash picture. For that, I have started to use the Jeffree Star powder. So this works not only great with the Jeffree Star concealer, but it also is a really nice under eye setting powder that doesn't give flashback. It's not my favorite for under eye setting. The It Cosmetics is still my favorite because I find that this stays matter longer, and I like my under eyes to be matte. I don't really like them to reflect any light. This is matte when I first put it on, but then pretty soon after that they do start getting a little bit more luminous and light reflective. From the drugstore this year, I discovered the Revlon Candid powder. I really love this. It really does give my It Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores powder a run for its money, and it comes in a few different shades. The one I have it in is 001. All right, blush is next. For most of the year, I was absolutely obsessed with the Buxom Wanderlust blushes. This one is in Mykonos. This is the one I wore most often. This is a primer infused blush, and it's matte, and the shades in these are just so beautiful. Look at that pretty pink. I actually have 4 or 5 of these. I had purchased 2, then Buxom sent me a bunch more. I gave some away in a giveaway, but there's 4 that I love the colors, and I just rotate through them, and that is probably my #1 blush for the entire year. But e.l.f. came out with a primer infused blush, so I decided to give that one a try, and I really like this one too. So this one is in Always Cheeky, and this is a really pale, like peachy color. I'm not sure how many shades this comes in. Yeah, you can see the difference of how pale that one is. So if you're a very fair person, that would be a great color. Both of these blushes really blend out beautifully on the skin, and so you're not going to end up with like too much blush that isn't blended. So those are both awesome. And then there's 2 other blushes that I just discovered towards the end of the year, and I wanted to mention them because I'm so in love with them. The first one is the Ciate Glow 2 Illuminating Blush, and this one is in Summer Love. These blushes have highlighter in them, and this one is just the prettiest peachy color. Put that one up top there. These are so sheer that you cannot make a mistake with it. You know how sometimes you put on your blush and you have to be like rubbing your cheek to get it to blend out? These you will never have a problem blending them out. They're so sheer and so beautiful. And if you don't like a highlighter, but you want that subtle glow without any glitter, then these are perfect because it saves you having to buy an extra highlighter. And then there's another blush that I just got impulse purchase, this little NARS Studio 54 kit at the Sephora cash register line. So there was a mini NARS blush in Dolce Vita in it, and I have fallen hard for this blush. This is much more of a ruddy kind of blush, and it's the one that I'm wearing today, and I love this too. So apparently, you know, had a good time with blushes this year. The top one that you can barely see is the Ciate, then this is the Elf, and this is the Buxom Wanderlust, and then this is the NARS. My favorite bronzer this year was actually out of a face palette. That is the CoverGirl Serving Sculpt palette. This one is in Bloom Babe, and this bronzer, so pale and such a perfect bronzer color for me. And I just love this whole palette. It's got a nice rosy highlighter here and a really pretty blush. So if you want to forego buying 3 separate products, you can just get this blush highlighter bronzer palette. I mean, it's a gorgeous palette. This is the bronzer, this is the highlighter, this is the blush. They're just beautiful and at a really great drugstore price. My favorite drugstore bronzer this year was the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer in Bronzer. That's a perennial favorite. And then for more higher end, well, I guess it's not really high end, Makeup Geek Medium Skin Bronzer in Tawny. This one was a favorite throughout the year. That's a really pretty color. All right, let's move on to highlighters. My favorite highlighter for most of the year was by Laura Mercier. It is the Matte Radiance Baked Powder in Highlight 01. It's not as shimmery or as blingy as some of the other highlighters, and so I think that more mature people would probably like this a lot, because I know people a lot of times don't like anything with any glitter in it. Of course, none of the highlighters I'm going to show you have any glitter in them. And then a drugstore highlighter that I really love is the Essence Pure Nude Highlighter. This one is in 10 Be My Highlight. This is actually very similar to the Laura Mercier because it's not that blingy of a highlight. The Essence highlighter is much more of a peachier color, and the Laura Mercier is much more of like a pinky white, but they're both just really subtle, really pretty, and I use those both a ton this year and absolutely love them. They're so easy to blend out, and they don't really draw attention to themselves as a highlighter, so a lot of people like that about them. I kind of like a highlighter that draws attention to itself. I did discover a new highlighter towards the end of the year that I really like a lot, and it's by Jouer. It's their powder highlighter in Rose Quartz. This one is a lot blingier. I have it on today. It just gives you that icy sheen. And, you know, I just love a good highlight. What can I say? It might be a little bit too much for some people because it is very icy. You can see it here at the bottom that it has a lot more sheen than the other two. You put it at the high points of your cheeks where the light would hit, and it just gives you instant cheekbones, instant cheek filler. Ever since I started using the Jouer highlighter, I've been getting questions about the filler and the new filler that I got, and I haven't gotten any new filler. It's actually been years since I've gotten any filler, but because of the Jouer highlighter and the like poppy bling, it just gives you instant cheek filler look. And so yeah, if you want an instantly filled cheek look, then go ahead and pop some highlighter on there. All right, moving on to setting spray. There's only one that was a new favorite this year. That is the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. What I love most about this is how fine the mist is. I hate things when you spray it on and then you can see the actual water droplets and it kind of messes up your makeup. This will never mess up your makeup. And if you find that you put out your makeup on a little heavy or a little cakey, a setting mist will help it to just have more of a natural radiance. My favorite eyelid primer for the year is the Fenty Beauty Amplify Primer. This one is in Invisipink, and I love this because it really is just like a pale, almost invisible pink tone, but when you first put it on your eyelids, it just smooths out your eyelids, makes them look less crepey, makes them look less veined or freckled, and then it makes a perfect base for your eyeshadow, and it really locks the colors down so that you don't get any creasing amazing. The eyeshadows blend so beautifully over this. This really is like the holy grail. The drugstore version that I like the best is the CoverGirl Lid Lockup. This was my favorite that I discovered in 2018, so didn't find anything, even though I did try a couple more, didn't find anything from the drugstore that I like better than that one. So, all right, something that I can't seem to get enough of, and that is eyeshadow palettes. Why do I have to have so many eyeshadow palettes? I love eyeshadow and I love trying different colors and different palettes and seeing how they are, and so many of them are just so good. So let me tell you about my top ones for the year. I would say probably one of my most used eyeshadow palettes for the entire year is from the drugstore. It's this Milani Soft and Sultry palette. This is the palette that I'm wearing today, and it's just such a beautiful palette. It's got very subtle colors and shades in it, and it doesn't look like much in the palette, but it makes the most beautiful eye combos. And if you're someone who's a little bit more adventurous, they do have another version of this, and that is the Bold Obsessions palette. So this one's just a little bit more of a colorful version. So that one is gorgeous as well. Another drugstore eyeshadow palette that I discovered this year that I really loved a lot, that's also more colorful, is the ColourPop Fame palette. Oh, if you are a fan of like lavenders and purples, then this palette is going to be for you. It doesn't even look that lavender and purpley in the palette, but a lot of these colors definitely come off more lavender and purple on the eye, and it is such a beautiful palette. It's got just the right amount of shimmers and neutrals, and it has a lot of paler neutral mattes that you can use in the crease and on your eyelid. So in the high-end palettes, I would have to say that my favorite palette for the year is the Marc Jacobs Glambition palette. This is such a sleek little palette. I absolutely love the packaging. I had gotten the Stiletto palette last year, so I already knew that I love the quality on these eyeshadows, but I just wanted one that was a little bit more neutral, just for an everyday look. And this is great because it does have those pale to medium neutral mattes for in the crease. It also has a couple of gorgeous shimmers, but then it also has a really rich black, and it's just such a beautiful palette. And what I love most about it is that the shimmer colors don't need to be applied with the fingers. You can put them on with a brush and you still get the most beautiful shimmery color payout out of them. Another favorite palette is the Dior 5 Colors palettes. These are great. They're just very small, very compact, but very beautiful on the eyes. This one is the 647 Undress palette, and this one is gorgeous, and I just love the colors. It's a combination of mattes and shimmers. They are such amazing quality eyeshadows. Like, you can't go wrong with this. These are very creamy feeling when you dip your finger in. They're not powdery, they don't kick up a lot of dust, and so the eyeshadow goes where you want it and it stays where you put it. So those are beautiful palettes. Then another palette that I use a ton this year, and I have to include it here in my favorites. You know, it's so hard picking because there's so many palettes that I tried, and I want to show them all because, you know, there's a lot more than just 5 good palettes. But anyway, have to narrow it down. So I wanted to show you this little Smashbox Cover Shot palette. This is the Minimalist palette. So again, not hugely exciting as far as the colors go, but just so beautiful and wearable and versatile. You can do like a silver look, you can do a grayish green look, you can do a more warm goldy look. For something so tiny, it really packs a punch and gives you a ton of beautiful looks in this palette. Then there are a couple of sparkly or metallic eyeshadow singles that I tried this year. One of them is the Makeup Geek Loose Foiled Pigment. I got this in 2 shades. One is called Gargoyle, one is called Tin Man. It's like a loose pigment, and so it just has a little hole in there, so you put your finger over the hole and shake a little bit out. This one is the shade Gargoyle, and this one is the shade Tin Man. So if you have all matte eyeshadow palettes, or you've done a matte look but you need to go out, these are so perfect for just changing your look from a day into an evening look. And then a similar product to that, but in a liquid form, that I discovered and love this year is the Stila Shimmer and Glow Liquid Eyeshadow. This one's in Kitten. This comes with a doe foot applicator, but this is Kitten right up here. It's just beautiful, and you can just amp up any kind of a look, and once you put it on, it dries and it is set. So it looks great all day. There's no flaking, there's no like glitter flakes anywhere. All right, moving on to eyeliner. I've got a couple of new eyeliners to show you and one bold one that was also my fave from last year. But I tell you, once you discover the best eyeliner that you put it on your waterline and it doesn't budge, you stick with it. So that one is the Marc Jacobs Highliner Gel Liners. These are amazing. The first one I bought was a matte one that was in the color Irony, and I love that one, but then this year I bought a couple more. So this is Think right here, the dark blue, and next to it you can see the shimmery off-white. That's in the buff. Discovered a new liquid liner that I love this year. It is the Tarte Sex Kitten liner. I kind of gave up on my liquid line with my little cat wing because I couldn't get it on right for a little while there and I didn't know what was wrong, and then I tried this one and it was like and it was a beautiful day that I could do my little kitty cat wing again, because this gave me so much control and so much precision and I just love it. And then the Drugstore eyeliner that I discovered this year that I love is the Essence Extreme Lasting Waterproof Eyeliners. I have it in two colors, Night in the Jungle and Rockin' Taupe. These are so creamy and gel-like, and they're waterproof, so they stay where you put them. This one is Rockin' Taupe and this one is Night in the Jungle. So as you can see, they have a little bit of a shimmery finish to them, but they are just so gorgeous. These just glide on and then you can smudge them out or you can leave a hard line. Whichever way you like your eyeliner, they will work for you. All right, let's move on to mascara. I do have a new favorite high-end mascara to share with you today. That is the Charlotte Tilbury Legendary Lashes Volume 2. It does have a super fat wand. I found that it really lifted my lashes and gave them a lot of volume and a lot of length. It doesn't chip, it doesn't smudge, it doesn't flake, so really loving that. But I did find a new drugstore favorite mascara this year. So this is my new Holy Grail mascara. It is from the drugstore. It's the L'Oreal Unlimited Mascara. It comes in this funny little genie bottle and it does a magic trick where the wand bends. It's more of a rubbery wand with the little spiky things, and I find that just gives me more lift and more separation with my lashes. It's the one I'm wearing today. Best mascara hands down for the year for me is from the drugstore. Next up is brow makeup. I did find a new brow combo that I love this year. It is the Urban Decay Double Down Brow Putty in Taupe Trap. And this they call a putty, but I think of it as more of a powder. And you get two shades of powder in there. It does come with a brush, which I don't use. I actually use a smaller brush to get more control. And then in order to hold my brows into place, I use the Urban Decay Brow Finish in Ozone. And this is more like just a clear brow mascara. And this is the combo that I've been loving all year long. These did come in PR from Urban Decay. They actually sent me 4 new brow products. Of the 4, these were my faves by far. The other ones were just a little bit more of a fail for me, but these two, just absolutely love them. But a close second to those that is from the drugstore is the Maybelline Tattoo Studio Brow Pomade. This one is in blonde. This one has a little bit of stickiness in it, so it's almost like a goopy powder. It does kind of glue your brow hairs together so that they're not going anywhere. All right, favorite lip liner is a tried and true, same one I've been loving every year. It is the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Lip Pencil in Naked. Use that every time that I put on makeup to sit down and record a video. It just makes my lips not feel dry, and it keeps whatever I put on top in place longer. But a close second from the drugstore is the NYX Lip Liner Crayon. This one is in Natural, and this one is a really good one. It's a little bit drier of a formula than the Urban Decay lip liner, and the color is a little bit darker. So this lighter one is the Urban Decay, the darker one is the NYX. So the Urban Decay is the one that I use with more of a nude lip, and then the NYX is the one that I use when I want to put on a little bit of a darker nude. I didn't find any new traditional lipstick that I like better than any of my old faves. You know, I love the Hourglass Confession lipstick and the Hourglass Girl lipstick and the Urban Decay Vice lipstick. but I went more for liquid lipsticks this year. So there are 3 liquid lipsticks that have really become holy grail for me this year. I love wearing them. I wear them all the time. The higher end ones are the Bobbi Brown Crushed Liquid Lip. I have 3 of these that I purchased. My favorite color is in Juicy Date. That's a really nice nude. Then there's this pale one called Lychee Baby, and this one I love just as a little topper. I actually have it on in the center of my lips today. And then there's this really beautiful cherry color, and this one is called Mango Mood. And it's really pretty because it's just a little bit orangey and pinky. My drugstore favorite liquid lip is the Wet n Wild Liquid Catsuit. And this year they came out with the High Shine lipstick, and these aren't drying at all, just like, did I say that about the Bobbi Brown ones? They don't dry out my lips at all. They're cruelty free and they're just beautiful, and I love both colors. I love this pink one. This one is called Chic Got Real, and the nude one is called Send Nudes. Those are really creamy and they sit on your lips so nicely, but if you have something to drink or if you eat lunch or whatever, they're gonna come off. So I wanted something that would last a little bit longer, so I went with the L'Oreal Rouge Signature Lightweight Matte Lip Stain. And these were sent in PR and I love these. This is in the shade Create, and it's a beautiful nude with a little bit of pink to it. I just love this color, and I just popped a little bit of Lychee Baby right in the center, so that's the lippy I'm wearing today. This though is so long wearing. It really does stain your lips, and so it won't be coming off on everything. This is a very lightweight lip stain, and even though it's got matte in the title, it's not really like a drying matte or a flat matte. It doesn't make my lips look extra wrinkly or anything or older. And of course, all the lippies that I'm showing you today, none of them run up into my lip wrinkles, which is important so that they look good. So that is everything that I had to show you today. It was probably a long one, but you know, doing both the drugstore and high-end in one video always makes it last longer, but I think it's a lot more fun that way. If you enjoyed the video, found it helpful and informative, go ahead and give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. As always, I thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate your watching. So have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.